Hello there folks, and welcome to video number 88. This video is on finding the equation using y equals mx plus c. We have done a video on finding the equation just using the graph where it was visual and you could see where the graph went through the y-axis, and that was nice and that was fairly simple. But this time we're doing it using the equation, the general form of the equation of a straight line, which is y equals mx plus c. So the keywords are y-intercept, gradient, and y equals mx plus c, which I've kind of already explained. But y-intercept is where the graph goes through the y-axis. The gradient is how steep the line is. And y equals mx plus c, it means something, right? That is, the y is the y value, the y coordinate value. The m is the gradient, all right? The x is the x coordinate value, and the c is the y-intercept value, okay? This is the general form for the equation of a straight line, okay? A linear graph. Now, in the method, it states you'll be given two coordinates. All right. We've got to work out the gradient and substitute it into the m bit of y equals mx plus c. Substitute one of the coordinates, x and y values, into y equals mx plus c. So you put the x in, you put the y in, you put the m in. All right. You'll be left with just the plus c bit that you don't know the value for. Solve the equation to find the value of c, and then write that in the form of y equals mx plus c. So you'll have y equals something x plus or minus something, all right? And that is what your answer will be in the form of y equals mx plus c. Now, in question number 1, I've got a very simple thing for you to do, all right? You basically just have to work out, using the general form of the equation, what the gradient and the y-intercept values are. So that's what it's testing your understanding of. So the gradient is the number that's always in front of the x. This is a positive 3, so we're going to label it as m equals 3. All right. The c value, all right, the c bit of y equals mx plus c is the number on the end, right? This number here, all right, it's on its own, and that's just the 4. All right, positive 4. So pretty simple when everything's positive. In B, we've got the m value of 12, because that's the number in front of the x. And this time we've got a negative value of c, which is minus 18. So that's the y-intercept value where it goes through the y-axis, would be minus 18. Okay. Now in C, I've just chucked one in here that they love putting in exam papers, right? Because it's the other way round, right? On this right-hand side. If we just rearrange it to be y equals minus 5x plus 36, because that's what that is, it's just the other way around. We can see that the gradient is very clearly minus 5, and the y-intercept value is very clearly 36. All right, and there you go. That's how you do those ones. Now, in question 2, I've got the bit where we're actually going to have to do some working out, all right, using the method that I've given you. Now, I didn't state in the method that it would be useful to do a sketch, but it is very, very useful to do a little sketch before you begin, which you can always leave there. I'm going to rub out because I need a bit of space to do things. But we've got to find the equation of the line that passes through the following pairs of coordinates. So A is 1, 6, B is 5, 18. I'm going to draw a little sketch of that. Like I said, if you do this, please leave it there as your workings. 1, 6, let's just say it's about, there's 1, there's 6, all right? And then 5, 18, well, that's a little bit further down the x-axis on 5, and that's a little bit further up here, 18, all right? It's not to scale, but we've got an idea of the graph and what its gradient is going to be, whether it's going to be positive or negative, joining those 2 points together. All right, now what we see by doing that sketch is it's got a positive gradient for sure, because if left to right you're going uphill, all right? Definitely a positive gradient. Probably a positive y-intercept value as well, but very difficult to see there, all right? But what we'll do is we will get rid of that and we'll do some working out, right? So let's find the gradient first of all right? Now, if you've got a non-calculator paper, you're probably going to get some nice numbers. All right, so let's try and do this without a calculator. If I've got to get the calculator in, I'll bring the calculator in. All right, because I've made these questions up, I haven't checked anything. So, first of all, you've got the two coordinates. You've got to find the gradient. Now, to find the gradient, you find the difference in y and divide by the difference in x. And I'm going to call that m. So m, standing for the gradient, is equal to 18 minus 6. Okay, and then we're going to divide that by the difference in the x values. Right, I've got to choose if I chose 18 there as my first value, which I did, I have to choose 5 as the first x value, right? I can't just swap them about, right? So 5 minus 1 is what the difference in the x values would be. So that is going to give me 12. Divide it by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And that's nice. So we've got m is equal to 3. So what we know is our equation will be y equals 3x plus or minus something, right? So we're going to substitute that in. Y equals 3x plus c. Okay. And now we can choose either coordinate A or coordinate B to substitute into this equation, right? Where the x and the y are. To find c. That's the next step. So I'm going to choose A because it's easier, smaller numbers, right? So 6 is the y value. So 6 is there. 3 times by 1 plus c. 3 times by 1 is 3. So 6 equals 3 plus c. All right. Coming up here, I'll just go over here. We've got to take away the 3 from this side to leave c on its own. So that's going to be 3 equals c, right? And we found the c value. Now that just gets substituted into our general form for the equation of a straight line, which is y equals 3x plus 3. All right, there we go. There's the first answer. And you can do this for every single question you get just a pair of coordinates for. Right, it would be worth a few marks on exam paper. So let's do C and D in B's question here. Right, we've got C and D, point C and D. Now we've got negative numbers going on, a little bit trickier, all right, but exactly the same process. Let's find M first, find the gradient. In fact, let's do sketch first. So if I just get rid of all of that, then I'll have a bit of room to do some things. I'll leave the working out there. You can always rewind it if you need to, just to see it again. Right, there's a horrible line, but minus 5, 5. So minus 5, let's say, is there. 5 is there. So we'll have that point there. And then minus 3, minus 5. So minus 3 is about there. Minus 5, about there. All right, so let's plot that point there. And you can see this is quite a steep looking negative gradient, because we go from left to right, we have to go down the hill. Right, it'd be a horrible hill to go down, wouldn't it? Very, very steep. So we can see that, and we can see that's definitely going to have a negative gradient, right? Because that carries on all the way down here, past my face. I'll get rid of that anyway. So let's have a look. See if we can do this without a calculator, hopefully. Right, what we're going to do, we're going to find the m value to start with. So m is equal to, now you could choose either of the two to start with, but keep with that one for the x value as well. So I'm going to start with 5. And then I'm going to, so just show you can do it the other way around. I've got 5 as my y value here, this one, and I'm going to minus 5, right? So minus 5. If I've got two minuses stuck together, that becomes a plus, remember, all right? Now, if I started with this 5, I have to start with this minus 5 over here. So minus 5 minus 3, all right? So again, I've got another thing where we'll just put in pluses, all right? So 5 plus 5 is 10. The difference between minus 5 and 5, or 5 and minus 5, is 10, which does make sense if you think about the graph of it. And then minus 5 plus 3 is minus 2. So one of the numbers is negative in this fraction here, so we've definitely got a negative gradient, and that's going to be 10 divided by 2, or 10 divided by minus 2, which is minus 5. Okay, so there we go. There's our final answer to the gradient. We've found it. Good. There was a whole video on finding the gradients. Anyway, if you're not sure what I'm doing, so please go back and watch that one if you need to. Now, let's do the substitution into y equals mx plus c. So y equals minus 5x plus c. Then we'll put in either one of the two. Now, it doesn't really matter because we've got some awkward ones. Let's just choose c to put in. So 5 is the y value. So 5 is equal to minus 5 multiplied by minus 5. That substitutes in nicely, doesn't it, into there. And then plus c. All right, let's go up here, do a bit of working up here. Minus 5 multiplied by minus 5, two negatives multiplied together to make a positive. So that's 25. So we've got 5 equals 25 plus c. All right, take away the 25 from this side, gives you minus 20, and that equals our c value. Found it. All right, so I've got the two things. I've got the m and I've got the c, so I can put them in to the equation. So y equals minus 5x minus 20. All right, it is pretty tricky, but if you do it one step at a time, you'll get used to doing it. Right, move myself over to the third question. Right, find the equation of a line that passes through the following pair of coordinates. Doesn't seem like there's anything too different about this one to begin with. Let's have a little look and see what happens. So E is this, F is this. Let's start off by doing the same thing. All right, so M is equal to, or we could do a little sketch again. Let's do the sketch over here, see if we can keep it in the question this time. All right, that's a horrible sketch again. But 17, 18, so let's say 17 is there and 18 is there. All right, and then let's say 7 and 9. So 7 is there and 9 is there. All right, and then we've got that line that goes through like that. There we go. So that's an awkward looking sketch, but it's positive gradient and it's a positive y-intercept. So we know a couple of things about it already. Now let's do our workings. M is equal to 18 minus 9 divided by 17 minus 7. So that is going to be 9 over 10. And that's why this question is a little bit trickier, because we've got a fraction for the gradient, right? Now this could well be on a non-calculated paper. We'd have to deal with our fractions here. Be worth maybe another mark or so. Depends what the question really is. But this one we'll crack on with. So we're going to substitute that into the equation. So y equals 9/10 of x plus c. Then we'll substitute in, I'm going to put the smaller numbers in again because I think it's just easier to do that. So 9 is what y is, and 9/10 multiplied by 7. Now whenever I do a whole number times a fraction, I always put the 7 over 1, right? Because then it becomes a fraction and you can deal with it easier, plus c. All right. Then we do the multiplying the fraction bit. So 9 times 7 is 63 over 10. All right, and then plus the c. Now you might want to turn that into a decimal, because 63 divided by 10 is 6.3. All right, and then if you let's write it like that. All right, you could do it that way, or you could just still deal with the fractions. All right, I think taking away 6.3 from 9 is probably a bit easier. It's 2.7, isn't it? So let's stick with the decimal way of doing things, but you could deal with fractions. All right, so 9 minus the 6.3, 2.7 is what c equals. We found the c value. All right, now we could turn that 9/10 there into a decimal just so we've got them in the same thing, or we could put that as 27 over 10. All right, I think that's what I'm going to prefer to do, because I like to have the same things in my answer. I don't know why, it doesn't really matter, but it's nice to have decimals or fractions rather than a mixture of decimals and fractions. Yes, so if I've got that as 27 over 10, right, that c value, what I can do is put it in. So y equals 9/10 of x plus 27 over 10. Now I could write this in a different way. I could write this without the fractions, which looks even nicer. I could multiply everything through by 10, right? That just means that it would be 10y is equal to 9x plus 27. All right, now I think that's probably my favourite way of writing that. You might be asked to write it with the x on the other side as well, so it would be minus 9x plus 10y equals 27. I don't know, you might not. But there you go. That is everything that you would need to know in the world of finding an equation using y equals mx plus c. Hopefully you'll be able to answer any question that's thrown at you now. I'm trying to cover all the bases with all the topics that I'm covering, but it is probably impossible to do that. I don't know if there's a resource out there that does that, but I'm doing my best. I'm trying to make sure you're getting a good range of different sorts of questions for each topic that I cover. All right, hope you enjoyed that one. Please do click the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Yeah, and keep cracking on, keep getting better. Cheers, take care.